here with Olly Emanuel, the writer of One Night in Iran that opens at Oranmore on Monday the 21st of March. Hi Olly.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Good. Do you want to tell us a wee bit about the background to One Night in Iran, where you got the inspiration from to write the piece?
Yes. Way back in 2006, I read an article in The Guardian by an anonymous Iranian woman about a love affair she was having with another man, an Iranian man. She was herself British and he was Iranian, and she talked about the experience of loving an Iranian man and the experience of loving someone in a state of not being married in a police state. And I didn't know what I was going to do with that story, but I knew it was a good story that I wanted to tell. So I actually just cut it out, put it in my ideas file, and waited until last year really, before sort of digging out and going, this might make a play. So that's the sort. I can tell you exactly. That happened on November the 11th, 2006, because that's when I read it. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because you can't usually do that with plays.
Yeah.
Pinpoint
the exact moment, the exact inspiration.
Yeah. I think
And obviously it's political because of its context, but it's also a play about a relationship. I mean, is it conscious that you chose to write a political play or a play about, because your previous one before was again a play about relationships and romantic relationships?
I think I was interested in the idea of love being love wherever it is, and that the politics came secondary. It always should, really. I think when you go to bed with someone, you don't go to bed with the politics of the situation or the context. So I was conscious of not making it about that, not making it politics first. It's got to be a play where you believe in the love and you believe in the relationship, and everything else that comes out of it. I think inherently having a relationship, having an affair in Iran is political. There's no way around that. So, and the play it reflects that.
Yeah. And you've developed the play over quite a long period of time. Do you know?
No, usually I write plays quite quickly. I found this play really hard to write, really hard to write. There were lots of rude words that I would use to describe writing this play. I don't know why. Some plays come easier than others. My experience is that usually I write quite quickly because I want the audience to experience it as if it's happening in front of them, and I think that the best way to do that is mirror that in the writing experience. So usually it takes me a month to write a play, maximum, even however long they are. But this play has taken me about 6 months to write, and it's taken more drafts than I've ever written on any play before ever, and it's actually quite short.
So it's perfect.
So, yeah, hopefully it's perfect. Who knows? But it did take a lot of time, yeah.
And it comes off the back of obviously our Latin American season, which was quite political, and obviously when we commissioned, we didn't realise, the events in the Middle East would unfold as they did, and put that in a different context, which also, I guess, puts your play in a slightly different or maybe more heightened context.
Absolutely, the news is changing every day. So at the moment, the West are quite concerned about the fact that Iran will get involved in the Bahrain protests and the putting down of those protests. And I believe they might have even sent troops in to support the Bahraini government to suppress the protesters, because there's a whole Shiite Muslim thing going on there. I think it's amazing. But I mean, you're talking about the fact that in Tunisia and Egypt and all that, and in Libya, this started with one guy setting himself on fire about 2 months ago in Tunisia, and it's we've had 2 revolutions and a partial revolution in Libya. Who knows what's going to end? I mean, in a way, it would be tremendous if it happened in Iran. I think it's a lot more complicated. It's a different situation. They haven't got the same thing as Egypt. I don't know, it'll be interesting. It does heighten the play a little bit, I think. It would be nice to think that in a few years or even in a few weeks the play would be irrelevant because it would no longer be a totalitarian state. But I think that's maybe a bit optimistic.
You
never know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And you're quite busy at the moment. You've got a couple of really interesting things on the go. Tell us a bit about what else you're up to other than
I've got 2 things I'll talk about. I'm working on a play with the Scottish Refugee Council, working on a verbatim play with a couple who came over here on the kinder transport in 1938 a Jewish-German couple, and they met over here and have made a life here. And it's really about their experience of being a refugee and in Scotland and how that was for them, and also what they've achieved and what their contribution is. And that's on June the 21st. Tron. Plug. I think it's cheap, so go and watch it. And the other thing I'm working on is starting to work on a play with the National Theatre of Scotland about the actor and director Alison Peebles, about her life and her multiple sclerosis, which is really interesting. It's really interesting. It's a really interesting play about her life and what having MS means for a woman in their 50s and a performer, and all the different variety of problems and challenges that come with that. But it's an interesting thing in terms of Scotland, because MS is most prevalent in Scotland than anywhere else in the world. Yeah. And so it's a very much a Scottish play, as well as a play that's about Alison and her condition. That's what I'm working on at the moment. Lots of exciting things.
Fascinating, and
different.
Very different.
I think the thing for me is I don't choose plays. I try and do a different thing every time. I'm not interested in doing the same play again. If I feel like I'm repeating myself, I get bored, and I think if I get bored, the audience get bored. So I try and do something different each time and attack it in a different way. I think most writers will tell you this. There's a sort of amnesia when you're writing a play anyway. When you're writing a play, you've forgotten how you wrote the previous one. So you have to discover it every time, brand new. And I suppose I just sort of go with that and roll with it, and that it is, everything I want to do is different, should be different.
Yeah, good.
Sense.
That's a good kind of philosophy of,
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant.
Yes.
Thank you very much.